Future-proof your career by networking. Now, if only I'd known this in my 20s, life and my career would have been so much easier. The beauty of networking, and this is what I'm going to talk about in this video. I'll show you how to give your career a real good boost with these networking strategies. Now, for a lot of people, there's a fear of networking. Oh, I've got to go and talk to somebody. Oh, what will I say? Now, let's get this straight, and this is important. Networking is not about walking into a room and saying to people, hello, my name's David, I'm a very important businessman. This is what I do. That is not networking. When was the last time you went to an event like that and you expected to walk around in business card? Most people haven't got business cards anymore. Networking is all about building long-lasting relationships with people you trust, people you can rely on, and yeah, so you can help them and they can help you. And if you do it well, it's a great source of knowledge, wisdom and skills that you can tap into for the rest of your career. Sounds good? Well, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. There may be occasions where, yeah, you do need to go to a conference and networking event, but they're becoming fewer and fewer, and that's only a small part of networking. You might use LinkedIn. That is, yeah, I mean, that's obviously making a bigger impact on networking, and it's a great tool, and we will touch on that. You might like to decide on some of the following to connect with old colleagues. Do you know, people that you used to work with, and oh yeah, they were really quite interesting. Oh, wonder what they're doing now. Get in contact. You might like to connect with people you respect or admire because you'd like their feedback or you'd like their opinion on something. There may be people that you feel that you can help, and I'll come on to that because that's really quite important. People you've studied with in your education. It may be at school, it may be at college, it may be at university. Perhaps you need to network inside your business that you're working with. If you're working for quite a big business, we're getting worse and worse at knowing what other people are doing. So that's a form of networking, finding out what's going on. Or externally with clients and suppliers. They're a great source for your network of knowledge and understanding of what's going on, or perhaps even outside your actual industry or market. So there's loads of people that we can tap into, and all their wisdom, their knowledge, their ideas, their views, their contacts. This is a great way to build our careers. So why network? Well, it's a great investment, as I've already said, in your future. I know what I know what I think, I know my experiences and my knowledge and my views. That's great. But does David have all the answers? He likes to think he has, but he hasn't. So what I need is a really good network of other people who think differently, have different experiences, different knowledge, have a different network to me that can perhaps help me. And I can tap into that. That obviously I can help them, but they can help me. So you can reach out for more opportunities in terms of learning, experiences, meeting different people who can guide and help you and gain advice from, yeah, their experiences and their wisdom. Your network is a long-term investment of knowledge and resources that you can tap into at different times, perhaps when you're moving jobs, trying to win a new piece of business, or trying to decide, what's my next steps, or should I stay or should I go in my current job. We need these people around us for a bit of advice and help. It's free learning, it's free consultancy on tap, but don't abuse it, obviously. But opportunities will come your way if you invest in your network, and you'll be surprised at that, and I'll talk about those as we go along, because I've already mentioned this or touched on this briefly. Is I believe in helping others because I believe in the concept of the law of reciprocation. Now, I use this a lot. I'm more than happy to have a call with people just to help them out. I'm not going to charge. I know I'm a trainer, I'm a coach, a business coach. But I will often say, look, let's have a chat, don't worry about it. And you wouldn't believe how often those chats don't actually materialise into business straight away. But what they do is perhaps a year later or 2 years later, people contact me and say, oh, so-and-so recommended you. Or, yeah, they've come back to me because they've moved jobs and gone to another company. So I do believe in the law of reciprocation. Help others, they will help you. It really does work, and it's a good, worthy investment of your time. So with all this networking, where to start? And as I said, I wish I'd have done this in my 20s. It was never introduced to me. It wasn't really such a concept then. So the first thing to do is perhaps build a list. Build a list of, say, I don't know, 5-10 people that you trust. Perhaps you want to connect with them on LinkedIn. Always send a personal message. Really important if you're going to use LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn a lot and I absolutely love it, and it's helped me immensely. And these are people that you respect. Perhaps you can help them or they can help you in the future. Don't go mad to start with. It's not how many people you can connect with on social media and how many views you get and how many likes you get. It's not about that. Quality is more important than quantity. Let me say that again. Quality is more important than quantity. So start to think about just asking these people some questions. So you could start with the working environment and just think, who do I need to speak to on a more regular basis? What are their thoughts? What are their views? The back of your notebook, start drawing, coming up with a list, 5 to 10 people that you should be talking to on a more regular basis. When you've done those 5 to 10 people, then start to expand it. Okay, who else would be good to connect with? You may like to do that using LinkedIn. Or you may like to, drop them an email. How are you? What have you been up to? And just build up a relationship. It may be that it's easy for you to meet up for coffee or perhaps a lunch. And those things do make a big difference, and people do appreciate it if you go out of your way to do these things. But whoever you go and talk to, and I'm going to talk about this in more detail in a moment, have some really interesting questions to ask them. You don't want to meet up with people and go, you all right? Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, how's things? Yeah, good. How's things for you? Yeah, they're good. Nice weather at the moment. Yeah, well, that's not networking. Have some really good questions to ask people, but I'll come to that in a moment. What sort of questions should we be asking? Ask their views on the business, if they're internally, or the marketplace, if they're suppliers or customers. What's their marketplace like? Talk to people about their career, especially if you're starting out, and just say to them, I'd love your thoughts on how did you get into your position? What advice would you give me? What do you think I should study? What areas do you think I should specialise in? And if you ask people these questions, you'll be amazed at the response, because people love to give their views and opinions. They will love you for it. How do they see advancements in technology? How do they see advancements in what the company or the industry is currently doing? Where's it going? What will it look like in the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? Be inquisitive and show an interest in people. People will love you for this. Absolutely love you. I was coaching a young adult who's been in business for, or been in their career for a few years, but they were getting a bit stuck and whatever, and they weren't really understanding their own business. So we sat down and I said, look, draw up a small list of 3 or 4 people that you would love to have half an hour with. So they did, and these were quite senior people. They wrote them a really nice email and spoke to their PAs and said, look, can I just have half an hour of your time? I've got some really important questions I want to ask you. And we sat down and went through the questions and things like that about how they see the future and what advice they would give them and things like that. And you'd be amazed that, everyone came back and said, yeah, of course. And these are very busy people. And they thought they would just get half an hour. One very senior people gave them about an hour and a half. Because they just couldn't stop talking. You've just got to sit there and be a sponge. And then say at the end, can we connect on LinkedIn, and could we have a chat again in 6 months' time? They sort of become an informal mentor to you, but it's part of your network. And the key thing to this, if you don't ask, you don't get. So don't be frightened of asking people for half an hour of their time, and say that I've got some really important questions I'd like to ask you. You're going to make them feel really important. And this young adult, after a couple of months of having these conversations, suddenly realised their profile had gone up in the business. And yeah, they got involved in projects that they wouldn't have got involved in otherwise. So as I said, it's not all about you. It's about them. Get people talking, as I've already said. They love talking about themselves. Your turn will come, I promise you. Don't worry, don't panic. It's not a time to get your cards out again and go, I'm really good at this, I'm really good at that, and I'm brilliant at this. That isn't networking. They will automatically start to trust you and respect and like the fact that you are listening. Now, if you do have a company conference coming up or a meeting, go and talk to people that you wouldn't normally meet. And just perhaps introduce yourself. So practice your introduction. Hi, I'm David, I work in such and I do this for the company. What do you do? So talk very quickly about what you do. If somebody asks you what you do, yeah, just say it in a nutshell. Make it interesting. Think about the value that you bring. So when people meet me in a lift, people say, what do you do for the organisation? And I say, well, I don't directly work for the business. I am external, but I help your clever people to maximise their potential. And straight away they say, oh, that sounds interesting. We ought to have a chat. So have a link like that so people find you interesting. But then I turn it around and say, and what's your role in the business? And get them talking. Remember, be interested in them, learn from them. So, if you do go to an event, if you have got a business card, you might like to take it, or just make sure you remember their names, don't overdo the kill, and just have that short introduction about yourself and get them talking. Remember, your time will come. Don't panic, don't push it. I can do this, I can do that. Get back in your box a bit. If you are meeting people within your business at meetings, company conferences and events and things, find out what their role is. What do they enjoy about it? What are the challenges that they face? Why did they get that job? How did they get into this career? If they could change anything, I think that's always a good question. And perhaps, just make some, a good introduction and think, right, I'd like to contact them another time and spend a bit more time with them. Do it, it's part of the strategy. Remember, it's quality, not quantity. So if you do go to a company event or even an external event, don't try and connect with absolutely everybody. Just find the ones that are interesting and think, okay, I'm going to follow them up next week. I may use LinkedIn, I may use my internal Teams messaging, or I may use the good old traditional email to build up that relationship and say, look, can I have half an hour with you? Don't oversell yourself at these times. Just build the connection. Listen, they will like you. Your time will come. Get to learn who's worth keeping in contact with, and you'll get what I mean by this. And the ones that just go on and on and on, and here we go. And the ones not to waste too much time in following up with. You get what I mean from that. There are some people that, you do get them talking and it's sort of, so that's just the way of the world. So you've got to work out who's worth keeping in contact with and building the relationship with, and who isn't. So it's great to see that you're still with me. Now, because obviously you're very interested in developing yourself and your personal development and future-proofing yourself, there's a free download in the link box below. So please do have a look at that, and hopefully you'll enjoy the rest of the video and join me on the others. So there will come a time that people will say, well, what about you, David? What do you do? And they are generally interested. So when it's your turn to talk well. Talk about the value that you bring. Just don't tell people what I do. I work in an accounts. I'm in sales administration. I'm in direct marketing or whatever. Talk about the value that you bring. I entice customers into the business. I provide management information so our senior people can make the right decisions. It's a lot more interesting. Not too long an introduction. And try and leave it so they can then say, oh, that sounds interesting. We ought to talk some more. Talk about why you enjoy your job. People don't want to talk to someone who moans and groans. Talk about how you help others. How could you possibly help them if they've got certain challenges, and say, okay, well, next week why don't we catch up? I can help you with that thing you were talking about earlier. Great way of building your network. Be enthusiastic. If you can't be enthusiastic about you, how do you expect anybody else to? And good eye contact, like I'm looking at the camera, I'm looking at you, I'm interested in you, yeah? You know, just be careful of having those conversations when you're looking at your shoes, yeah? If you do click, that's great. And just say, look, you know, it'd be good to have half an hour or catch up for coffee or whatever at a later stage, or set up a Teams call or a Zoom call that you can start to build that relationship. So when it is your turn, don't waste it. Practice what you're going to say, the value you bring in the business, and just a few things like what you enjoy, how you help others, and be enthusiastic. Really, really important, so they remember you. And if you do have an old-fashioned business card, great. If not, remember their name, make a note of it when you sit down for dinner or you go outside, and just make a note, and then you can keep in contact with people. Really essential. Or if they've got name badges, there's nothing wrong, and just take a little picture of their name badge and say, yeah, can't I just take a picture of your name badge? Taking a picture of them might be a little bit too far, but yeah, why not? Take a picture of the name badge. Good idea. And some even conferences do have the scanning codes, which is a great concept, that you can just scan their badge onto your phone, and then you can use that information to connect with them at a later stage. So we found out about them. We've told them a little bit about ourselves. So grow your network. Always be adding to your network quality people. Quality, not quantity. People to learn from, people who can help, people that can help you. They've got great experience or knowledge. They're generally very interesting. They've got good things to say. They give good advice. This is free information, free mentoring, free coaching. You know, find these people that you can build these relationships with. It just makes life so much easier. There's lots of people I'll phone up and go, what should I do about this? What do you think about that? How do you see this? I love learning from other people, and I think it's a really good investment. And because of that, I think, and I do try my absolute best to be a very good listener and ask them good questions, and they hopefully enjoy my company. And always thank people for their time. If someone does give you some time, or even if you just do have a good conversation with them in meetings, or even on, you know, perhaps they stay on afterwards on a Teams meeting, or if you're going into the work office, or if you do meet socially or whatever, and you know, they're giving you some good nuggets of wisdom, of knowledge, of their experience. Thank them for the time. They will appreciate you for this. And yeah, it's just a nice human way to connect and build relationships. But remember, you're doing it for the long term. It's not a short-term activity just to get your contacts up on your social media and LinkedIn and things. Now, if you're networking to sell to people, do it gradually. There again, don't get the business card out. I sell training courses and coaching sessions. Would you like some? That is not a good way. And people go, whoa, steady on, tiger. You know, have a conversation, get them talking. You may decide to approach them a week later. That's fine, but don't do it there and then. Do it gradually. Build the relationship. Create the opportunity and the right to ask them, look, could I talk to you about what I do? But not there and then. Okay, if they come on to you and sort of say, look, yes, we'd like you to do this, this and this, and I'd be really interested in that, that's slightly different. But there again, do you really want to do the pitch then? Now, a lot of people say to me about networking and also their friendship groups, why is it always me that has to organise everything? Why is it always me keeping in contact with people? So make the effort. This is really important. We're getting worse and worse at networking. Why? Because we're working remote. Yeah, the hybrid model, is it good for networking? We're not going out to networking and conferences as much as we used to. It's all done online whilst we're doing something else, doing our emails, watching the cricket in my case, whilst we're online in conferences and things like that. We're not fully engaged. So we're getting worse and worse. So make the effort. People will appreciate it. A lot of people say, oh, David, you're so good at keeping in contact. Thank you. Oh, it's so nice to hear from you. And I always remember what we talked about last time because I make notes. So you might feel it's an extension of your friendship group And it may be your friends. Oh, it's always me that organising all the nights out. It's always me that organising the trips to the theatre or going to football or just going for a beer. Why don't they do it? Well, because I'm good at it. So be good at this. It's for my benefit. I gain from it, and I choose who I want to connect with and work with and talk to. On Friday nights, I've got a few people that I am going out for an evening with. There's 3 others, and I really respect these 3 people, totally different to me. Loads of different experiences, lots of different knowledges, different views, and I do learn a lot from them. That's why I normally organise it. There's one other guy that often organises it, but yeah, between the 2, we always organise it. And I really benefit from sometimes these evenings because I learn so much from them. So don't get grumpy and miserable about, oh, I'm not contacting them. It's for your benefit. Yeah. Reflect on your network list on a regular basis. So when you're having PDRs, appraisals and reviews in business, at work with your manager, this is a good time to do a lot of reflection. I often talk about this. Get your networking lists out. If you do it on an Excel spreadsheet, the back of a notebook, or you're just relying on LinkedIn, however you want to do it, make sure that you are keeping in contact with the right people on a regular basis. And think about who I haven't spoken to for a while. What are they doing? You never know what opportunities it can bring. And set yourself a target. If you are going into an office environment, once a week, could you have a cup of coffee with someone that you don't normally work with? If you're going into a town or a city environment, perhaps someone externally once a week there again, or once every 2 weeks, you can do it. Don't, keep it realistic with your target and keeping in contact with people, because we know we've all got the day job. So it's time to get started. I had a difficult conversation with somebody who unfortunately lost their job. And they'd lost their job and it was a bit of a shock to them and whatever. And they said, oh, I need to get out there and start networking. And I said, sorry, but you've missed the boat. You're just going to come across as desperate. I didn't quite say it like that, but I was reasonably honest with them. You should be networking all the time in case these things do happen. Because if they haven't heard from you for goodness knows how long, couple of years, and you suddenly phone them up, hi, it's David here, how you doing? We really must meet up. Why, what's happened? Oh, I've lost my job. Oh, right, okay, you're feeling a bit desperate and you need some help. This is an investment. It works both ways. So always be doing it. That's why I think setting the little targets of how often you're going to do this and reviewing your lists and reminding yourself and not forgetting to keep in contact with people is a really good idea. So you don't come across desperate, you come across genuine. And when you do need help, people go, yeah, let's meet up, let's have a chat. But if they haven't heard from you for goodness knows how long, they go, oh, here we go. So it is important. Build that relationship. Relationship. Quality, not quantity. It's not how many people you got on your social media or your LinkedIn, it's the quality of those contacts. So, in summary, networking is a career-long activity. Yeah, let me say it again, a career-long activity. If you're in your 20s and 30s, I expect you've got another 30, 40 years of the working environment. Sorry about that. So build it well. Build it on a regular basis. Review it on a regular basis. This is great knowledge that you can tap into. Be there for others. It's not all about you. Remember the law of reciprocation. I'm a firm believer in it, and I promise you it works. If you don't ask, you don't get those great conversations. So think about people that you would like to spend some time with and pick their brains, but have some great questions. And lastly, always thank people for their time. People will appreciate it, and people will respect you and think, yeah, okay, when they come and ask me for help in the future, yeah, I'm happy to do it. And then they can see that you can help them as well. So always thank people. So thank you for watching. Please like, please subscribe, watch on the next ones. Let's get networking.